Mindset Transformations Radio Show with your host, Coach Myrna. Do you feel the need to do more with your life? Are limiting beliefs holding you back from true success? Enjoy a unique blend of interviews, discussions, and transformation coaching in every show. Get the tools for success. The Mindset Transformation Radio Show with your host, Coach Myrna.
Welcome to the Mindset Transformation Radio Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Myrna Young, and today we are speaking to relationship coach Amy Schoen. Amy is going to be teaching us today on the topic, how to identify and connect to the motivated to marry. So all you single men and women out there, stay tuned because we've got some information for you. So, Amy, right off the bat, I want to say welcome.
Hello.
All right. Awesome. Okay. All right. So let me tell you a little bit more about Amy. For over 14 years, Amy Schoen, a professional certified life and relationship coach, has helped marriage-minded men and women get off the dating merry-go-round and finally find their life partner. She also helps her clients build a loving, committed relationship that can lead to marriage if that's their goal. With proven Motivated to Marry Dating Secrets coaching program, Amy's clients discover what they truly want in a life partner, often finding their perfect match within 6 months to a year's time. That is awesome. Finally, how they can direct their energies towards being with their life partner, friends, and family, and enjoying their life pursuits. Amy is the author of Motivated to Marry, Now There's a Better Way to Dating and Relationships, Get It Right This Time, and How to Find and Keep Your Ideal Romantic Partner. She has been featured in many radio, TV, and newspaper articles on dating and relationships. Amy lives in the Washington, D.C. metro area with husband number 2 of 16 years and her 10-year-old son. Find out more about Amy, her services, programs, and her monthly Motivated to Marry podcast at www.motivatedtomarry.com. and also available on iTunes. Well, Amy, so thank you for agreeing to share your knowledge and expertise on this podcast. You're welcome.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, this is great.
You're very welcome. You know, I love guests that has interesting topics, and this is a good one. So just so that we can get a feel and connect on a little personal level, can you tell us your journey to becoming a relationship coach? Did you have some personal interest in this topic, or it was just something that you wanted to give back?
I think we all, if we're fortunate, we're able to build upon our journey and our experiences. And for me, I was married at 25, and I went through a divorce in my mid-30s. And I never imagined that I would be in that situation. My parents were married for 40-plus years. My grandparents were married for over 70. So, wow. The model was that you were married, and I always thought I'd be married. I never imagined, and it wasn't my choice, but that I would be in my mid-30s and divorced. So here I am getting back out there. And, the loss of the dream, I always thought I'd be married with 2.4 kids and, living in the suburbs or whatever, living, the best life. And here I was struggling to meet a serious person for dating. And so I also, got out there and started dating. And I actually worked with a coach when I turned 40. And that was, he was very instrumental for me helping me recognize that my husband was the one. And there are many reasons, I was being very judgmental. I had a couple of blind spots, and also, some of the stuff from my past coming forward. So that was really helpful. So
we all bring the baggage, right?
Right, exactly. So I got remarried at 42, and I met my husband, and it went pretty quickly. I mean, the whole motivated to marry mile I'll explain pretty quickly. I mean, a little bit more later. And so then I decided, at the time I had a women's clothing store, that I wanted to start having a family, and it just wasn't conducive to a family life and to what I needed to do to have a child. So I closed the store, and I actually worked with a career coach who introduced me to life coaching. And
wow.
I really...
That's great.
Yeah, and it really was great, and it was just the perfect thing for me at the time. I can work out of my house, I can manage, with a family, and I also had to do some fertility work, actually 5 years of fertility work to have my son. So it allowed me the flexibility, and I love what I do. I'm really good at it, and I naturally fell into the relationship arena, and because of my history. And so I got certified. People started sending people to me and said, can you help me? Because I had no trouble meeting people. It was meeting the right person. And so
are you talking with clients or dates?
When I was dating.
Okay.
Being an extroverted person, I don't have trouble meeting people. It's just meeting the person who would be a good partner for me was the struggle. And my clients come to me with different levels of struggle, and we kind of sift through that. And so I decided to get trained and certified as a life coach because I didn't really want to mess with people's lives. There's so many people out there who are calling themselves coaches, and they don't have any training whatsoever, and that's a little nerve-wracking for me.
I know that, I'm a certified coach as well, and, I went through, actually I'm a CPC certified coach, so I've got the middle certification. But yeah, it is not an industry that you need a certification. Look at the top guy that's making millions of bucks, Tony Robbins. Not certified. You don't really need to be.
Right.
I guess you just have to have a hope that you're helping people, and you really cannot not help people because once you come into the conversation and you put some energy onto something and you have some goals or whatever, so. But yeah, I made sure I got my certification because I wanted. It makes you feel better about what you're doing. Yeah.
But we also trained, and we have the skills. Right. And I'm right now working on making my program to certify other coaches to be motivated to marry coaches.
Okay.
And I really want them to be certified coaches first to do that, my program. Mm-hmm. And we have to infuse the whole core competencies, whatever that means, right? But anyway, so, there's a lot of training that goes into. I know you probably went through a lot too. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so that's what happened, and that's how I became a relationship coach. And I continue with my training and my learning. We have to keep up our continuing education. I've taken relationship courses and, keep working on my skills. Yes,
all those things you have to do. So, as far as, a little sidetrack on the coaching thing, I think what being a certified coach in my training has helped me to do is help me to have this conversation as because when I'm talking to my guests, I'm listening deeply. I'm present. You know what I mean? I learned how to pick up on breadcrumbs and have a conversation. So it's almost the same as sitting down with someone in the coaching arena. So that's how it's helped me as far as this show goes. But, I love your story as far as, you wanted to become self-employed. You wanted to help, people and being in the retail field. Yes, I know. I tried retail for about 6 months. When I was in between jobs, and yes, that retail thing is brutal. My sister had a retail store, and she worked 14 hours a day, every day. So
I had a staff and everything, and it was a wonderful experience. I did it in my 30s, and I met some wonderful people, and it really you work on your people skills when you're in retail.
Yeah. Well, that makes it great because, I worked for, I was doing retail for Office Depot in the business division. So you build relationships and and that was part of the great thing because I also am a very people-oriented person. But so that's great. And, I'm glad that you were successful as far as having your son. And I like the fact that, you started off by telling, us about our dreams. And it's great that you came into the marriage, thinking on building on your grandmother and your mom and thinking about, marriage. It doesn't happen these days. People go into marriage and the first fight they have, they divorce because they know that that's their option. So I'm glad
it's really being committed, right?
Yep, exactly.
And being on the same page and really being aligned, and that was helpful. Then when I brought my husband to my coach, and we did coaching together. So I do coach couples as well. I don't do a lot of that, but I like to work with couples when they're forming their relationships and help them get on the right path. What do you want to build together? I don't work with couples in crisis. I work with couples who are building a vision together.
Right. Well, that has gone by the wayside because in the olden days you had to get premarital counseling, and you're right. It's good to set up. It's good to understand the contract. It's good to understand who's doing what. And I didn't have any of that, so I had to learn by error.
We went we had to go meet with a rabbi, but I don't know, there wasn't much there. We took a little test, and then we didn't even find out the results. And so it really was my coach that helped us really get aligned and figure out that this could work.
Okay. So that's awesome. Love the story. Now, as a follow-up question to that, I know that we are going to be talking, or most of our content today is going to be on finding the motivated to marry, and I love that because I know you're going to be sharing some things that I'm going to learn, and some people, or some of our listeners are going to, learn from that. But I'm a firm believer of the fact that the right person shows up when you are ready. It's like the teacher doesn't show up until the student is ready. And I don't think that, we can attract the right person until we ourselves are the right person. So my next question, my first question is, what can you share with our listeners that are looking for somebody that's ready to marry as far as preparing themselves to be the person that someone wants to marry?
Well, as a life coach, I take a top-down approach with my clients, and we first look at what you want for your life. It's being clear about your life vision. I think you probably do similar work. And then what I do that most coaches don't do is I go deep into the values, and there's a way for me to really kind of flush them out and pull them out. Because people think they know their values, but when they go through my process, they really kind of see, and they can see it. They verbalize it. Their descriptions, and so it uses it like a homing device. But the whole process of doing this work gets you really ready and to meet that person, and that's why it doesn't take so long. Because by the time they're ready, by the time they're putting themselves out and meeting that person, and over 80% of my successfully coupled clients met their partners through online dating after they applied my process to it. There's a recognition, really, and my clients are sifting and looking for those values and the goals, the similar goals. And I teach them and train them how to put that out, because I believe what you put out there is what you attract, kind of what you're saying.
Right.
And so it's really about shifting. I call it shifting the dating radar, and really being clear about your goals, putting it out there that you are looking for marriage, because a lot of people are afraid to say something. I once went to I was able to be at a singles event, and I had my little clipboard. This is like when I first started, and I had my Motivated to Marry quiz. And I would go up to the women and say, or mostly women, and say, oh, do you want to take this quiz to see if you're motivated to marry? They looked at me with horror. And they're like, get away from me. Like, they did not want to seem, desperate? It's not desperate. It's being clear about your goals. And what I love about my clients who work with me, especially the women, is they become so empowered. And they like say, you know what? And they don't take crap from somebody, like anyone who's wishy-washy. And I train them to kind of watch out for those wishy-washy men who are like, well, maybe I'll get married someday. Maybe I'll have a family. Maybe. And
they're
it's
certainly not motivated.
They're not motivated.
You can't use that on them, right? Mm-hmm.
Right. And they're kind of like afraid to put it out there that they're marriage-minded, because today it's like not cool. You know?
No, it's not, because it makes you feel needy, and you feel that the men are going to run. But there's a way to do it. Like you're teaching the women the right way to do it. The wrong way to do it is to go on a first date and start talking about buying houses and how many babies you're going to have, and that kind of. At least I think so. But
well, first we need to figure out
way to do it.
Right kind of person. I say on a first date there are three things that you really just need to pay attention to. Okay. Does the conversation flow? Do you not see any real apparent deal breakers or things that are not going to work for you? And then you kind of somewhat attracted to him. Yeah, I mean, not like oh, I can't even imagine kissing him. I mean, so you kind of like, oh, he's kind of cute. Then I would go on a second date or more, because, a couple. I mean, usually within 3 or 4 dates, whether somebody is gonna. But I had a client, and she went out with this guy, and we had done this whole work. She met him online, New Year's Day, actually. And he was online for 1 day. But we had already worked and had her profile ready to go and everything like that. And she's like, I'm not feeling it. I'm like, but on paper, he looked great. And I'm like, just give it a little more time. I said, some people are introverted, and they're kind of like, I call them like onions. You got to peel layers to get to the juicy part. And so she did give him like a couple more dates. And there was another guy who was, kind of yanking her around, and she was more attracted to, but he wasn't really stepping up to the plate. Right. And she finally saw this guy really who he was, and she fell in love with him. And and they did get married.
It doesn't always happen immediately. I believe that one of the I like what you say as far as somewhat attracted, because the ones that you're really attracted to, the playboys or the ones that really get your juices flowing, are not the right ones. And you go into these relationships because you are sexually attracted to the men, and then they don't have any of the other things in the background. So I like exactly what you say. Make sure the conversation is flowing, that you guys have something to talk about. There's no obviously deal breakers, like he's not telling you he's married or something and he, wants an affair, or whatever deal breakers are.
Or whatever it is. It could be that he's a clutter person, or who knows, he treats, or the rudeness is one of them, you notice is how he treats the wait staff.
Waiters and all that, right. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I like that, but I like the somewhat attracted, because, some people are like, meet their spouses or immediately and fall in love. I like those stories. Or some people, it takes them a while to get into it. And it just depends on who you are, right? Yes.
Exactly. So, and I know people who kind of fell in love with their best friends. They had to kind of see them in a different light.
Yes.
But there is a process. I mean, especially my clients come to me when they're usually, the women are in their mid to late 30s. and going into their 40s, and the men are pushing 40, going into their 50s.
Right.
That's for the people who want families. Where
Right.
I do work with the divorced population. I also work with the widows and widowers, and I've had clients from late 20s all the way into their 70s.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean, yeah, because society tells you, I have a 29-year-old daughter, and I myself are saying to her, listen, you're going to be 30, you need to get married and give me some grandchildren, stuff like that. But that's what society does. It's the rare person that's, that is comfortable waiting until their mid-40s to get married, because once you push that 30 button, you're feeling that, hey, it's time, I'm like the Marianne person here. I've been married several times. I started at 17, so I'm not the right person to talk to about that. But yeah,
30 very good reasons not to get married till you're 30. So,
yeah, exactly. I mean, especially if you're a career person and all that stuff. But yeah, so what I'm trying to say though is society. We've come a little longer way. In the olden days, people want to get married at 21 as soon as they're out of, college or whatever. But now it's getting a little later. And
I just had a nephew who got married in his early 30s. I gave him my blessing.
Yeah, that's the time to do it now, right? But all right, so awesome. Now, we're throwing around the term "motivated to marry." So, since that is the topic of your book and that's the topic of your expertise, what do you mean by because when I hear that, I'm thinking that somebody is ready to get married. But I mean, that was one of the things that you said that there's what does someone mean? So, which tells me that there's something more to it than just somebody's ready to get married.
Yes, it's a mindset, and it's thinking that you do want that as an end goal, and it's dating for purpose, with a purpose, basically. It came to me when I was dating, and I was in my late 30s, and I was at a party. It was actually a happy hour, and I'm talking to this guy, and he's really cute, and he plays with a band, and he's going off to Europe for 6 months. And I'm kind of like a strategic maximizer, So I'm listening, and I'm like, oh my God, he's not motivated. That's what popped up in my head. And it's like he's going off to play with a band. He's not looking to get married and have a family, which was my goal. So I had to find a way to kind of extricate myself from the conversation and try to move towards meet other men who might be motivated to marry. Right. So, that's how that whole thing started. But what I started noticing was amongst my friends and now my clients, people were meeting the people and getting married. And this is in, let's say, the late 30s, early 40s. Within 3 to 6 months, they were getting engaged and married within the year. And I just noticed a whole bunch of us going through that. And I just kind of developed this whole time frame. I mean, there are time frames in my book based upon your age. Now, my nephew, who was in his early 30s when he met his wife, they're young and they're in New York, and, they were dated for 2 years before they got engaged. And I thought that was terrific, and it was the perfect timing, and everything's worked out great. For me, when I met my husband and I was, also motivated to have a family, we were engaged within six months, and I was married within the year. And this is kind of like the model. But it is like a thinking as it's dating for marriage. Dating for marriage is different than dating just to date. And when I do my workshops, we do all the reasons why people are dating. We come out with 24 reasons. And I can say on one hand, like the committed relationship for a family, the long-term partnership, there are only like a couple of reasons, for people who want a committed relationship that's going to lead to marriage. And like I said, I worked with a 70-year-old man, and he had been widowed, and he was motivated to marry. So just because, there are a lot of the baby boomers, and I'm in that age group, they come to me and they say, Amy, I want to find a really a committed long-term partnership. I'm not sure I want to get married. And marriage is a choice today. So, and I said, that's fine. I'm happy to, those are the goals you set. But I'm a real believer in being clear and honest with anyone you're dating about your intentions.
Yeah, for sure. And you're right. If we're in the baby boomers, I personally think that the focus there is, companionship and having somebody to share your life with. And if the person wants to get married, then that's a bonus. But that's not really what the baby boomers are very interested in. Right, yep.
There's so many factors. There's the financial factors. There's the family relationship factors. So, everything has to be taken into account. Yes. I had a sister-in-law that was with the same guy for over 25 years, and they were married. But, this was second time around for both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Excellent. All right. Well, we're off to a great start. Let's take our first break, and then we are going to come back and dive a little deeper into the characteristics of the motivated to marry. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Having trouble getting a merchant account? Need an international payment gateway? Rejected by another merchant account provider? No problem. iPayTotal wants your business. Our high-risk merchant accounts allow you to accept all major credit and debit cards. Our Motto Payment Gateway allows accepting transactions on the phone. iPayTotal delivers payment solutions and products to help grow your business. Contact us now for your payment processing at info@ipaytotal.com or visit ipaytotal.com. www.ipaytotal.com. Your online payments provider.
If you would like to improve the quality of your life and don't have the budget to hire a coach, then I have an offer for you. Why not play the game of life and learn the skills to maneuver life situations? How many of you have played the game of Monopoly and learned the value of having property to collect rent? Well, Points of View is a leading company in the field of training for personal and business development. Points of View use games to explore significant life themes in a fun, unique, and powerful way. Games are designed for use by professionals, organizations, or individuals. The games are designed to help you look deep inside yourselves and the environment around you. It is a stimulating exploration that sharpens your senses and opens up new possibilities. So who can use Points of View games? Anyone wishing to reconnect and enhance communications with themselves and others. Anyone in search of fresh perspectives on dilemmas, relationships, and decision-making. Those seeking interchange and the opportunity to build new bridges. Points of View is a collection of various games. The coaching game features 65 associate cards that explore significant everyday themes. Punction fosters associate connections between photos, themes, and questions. These flexible combinations make it a fascinating tool, highly effective in dynamic therapy, coaching, and counseling. Faces is a powerful way to get to know ourselves through the observation of others. For more information or to purchase one or more of these games, head over to https://POY4ALL.com/transform, which is TRANSFORM. These games would make perfect Christmas gifts for someone that you love so that they can have coaching in a fun and exciting way. So once again, that website is semicolon, / POY, the number 4, ALL.com/transform. Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Coach Myrna Young, and today we are talking to Coach Amy Schoen. We are speaking about relationships and how to identify and connect to the motivated to marry. You know, in our last segment, we defined what motivated to marry means. And, you know, according to Coach Amy, it is the mindset of dating with a purpose. And the purpose is to get married. So as we start our second segment, I do want to know, and I'm sure you do as well, what are the characteristics of the motivated to marry, whether it's male or female? Amy, give us an example of, you know, when she was, you know, talking to someone that is, you know, career-oriented and wanted to play in a band and travel the world and all that. That person is just looking for a hookup. That's not the person that you're looking for as far as to settle down with. Amy, so what are some of the characteristics of the motivated to marry dater?
Sure. Well, I have quite a few here, but I'm going to give you some highlights. Okay. One is that they not everybody, but you know, they want to have a family sooner than later. That's a motivator. Mm-hmm. Basically, somebody who, if a woman looking for a man, I would say that he's secure and stable and financially stable in his career. Like everything else in his life is set, except the missing piece is the relationship piece. They tend to hate singles events and being single. They desire to have a steady companionship rather than stress of continually going out. And I would say more introverted people tend to be motivated to marry, like my husband. Mm. So I asked him the question, how do you like the dating world? So you're going to get two answers depending on the person's personality. So the extroverted person, if you ask me that question, I would probably say, oh, it's not so bad. I get to meet a lot of people, do some interesting things. I'm kind of getting tired of just this merry-go-round. You know, I'd like to get settled and meet that one special person. But the introvert would say, it sucks, I hate it. And get me out of here. Like, they want to just go on with their lives with their small group of friends.
And that makes it harder for them to meet people, too. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that's why online dating has been phenomenal for my more introverted clients, because it's a one-to-one medium. And, you know, they can do it from from home, you know, in their little, little room, wherever they are, and meet people that way and warm them up through conversation. And they're usually very good writers, you know, and eventually they have to get on the phone and have a conversation. I teach my clients this whole process. I actually have a course called the Successful Internet Dating Program. So, so it's kind of funny. So, yeah, that's one of the other ones. What else do I have here? Just like me, they have a good role models that their parents and their siblings are married, and they're kind of like the last one standing, and that's true of their friends. All their friends have gotten married. I've seen this. It's called the domino effect. And I remember one of my friends, he was in his late 30s, and his best friend got married. And then within the year, he got married.
Yes. Yep. So, especially if his best friend is happy. Yeah, you want some of that too. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like, well, they're no longer available to play with, and, now the socialization's around the family. But for women, it really is a lot of times if all their friends are getting married, they're having families, and they're feeling like left behind.
Well, I would think that women are always motivated to marry. Don't you agree?
No. There are a ton of women who are not.
There must be a new shift in the culture. So you're telling me that there's a lot of women,
and they're very educated. They're very work focused. I had an organizer.
Get married. Right.
Huh?
Okay. But they still want to get married.
She says she dates, but I don't see her being motivated. She's a friend of a friend. No. I mean, I see these guys. I've known them for years. Now, you have to be careful about being too judgmental, because I've known these guys, and I'm like, oh, you go, he's a professional single guy, You got to be careful, because every once in a while they meet that woman, and they get married.
Yeah.
So, I would never, you got to be careful about making assumptions about people. It is a timing issue with men.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But I do think that there are people who are, marriage focused, and there are people who are not, for one reason or another. I mean, I know a lot of single women in their 50s and 60s, never married, and at this point in their lives, I don't think it's going to change.
Well, my mom was married for like 40 years and got divorced, and she's 80, and I will tell you that, she would still be interested if someone comes along and say, hey, you want to get married? Because, that's why I said that I don't know of any woman that I don't know personally, but I'm not a relationship coach, that wouldn't love to be married instead of dating and being the girlfriend. So.
I know a lot of people. and my father passed away. My mother was in her 60s, and she will tell you she's been on like 30 plus, so many dates. But my mother is a type of person, and I love her to death, but she likes her life the way it is, and she likes her space the way it is. And, a man would have to be really something special to for her to change her life.
Yeah, right. But she's open to the relationships and somebody to do things with and whatever. Who wants to be alone? So anyway, that's basically, my idea of why relationships are so important, because they make us happy. And you're right.
And I do know people who have met people at all ages. Yeah. And my girlfriend's father remarried in his 80s. I mean, it is all possible.
I've been seeing it. So, it's absolutely wonderful. All right. So now we've talked about, you gave us about 4 characteristics of the motivated to marry dater. And how many dates I think you mentioned earlier that by the 4th or 5th dates, but
I think
you also
kind of know whether you want to see, kind of go further. Now, I have a whole thing about when to be exclusive. And what you need before you would be willing to be exclusive.
Well, go ahead, tell us about that. And right, exclusive, and also the signs.
I think it's important to decide that and design it for yourself. What would you feel comfortable with? Before you would be. What do you need to see in a relationship or dating someone before you would stop dating other people and just focus on this person? And in the motivated to marry model, I suggest that you kind of have to have the conversation about how long you're going to be in a relationship before expecting to go the next step. So when I met my husband, we were dating. It was about a month. And we decided we were going to stop dating other people. But I said to him, I'm not dating to date. I'm dating for the purpose of marriage and having a family. How about you? Now, some people can tell you what you want to hear, but I got the gut sense that my husband was, honest about what he wanted, and he said, me too. And I worked with a woman, her name Karen. She's very open about, working with me. And she was in a relationship with a guy she thought was going to be the one. And they were dating for 2 years. They weren't living together, and, they were having a physical relationship, and they were dating, but and she thought that, they were going to lead to marriage. Well, through the coaching, I helped her have that conversation with him. And he goes, marriage? I'm not interested in getting married. Wow, this was an eye-opener for her. And so basically she had to make a decision.
Did he lead her along, or she just heard what she wanted to hear?
I think, she was busy in her life. She was working, she was getting a graduate degree. It's all timing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
all right.
but she hired me, and maybe she didn't feel like the relationship was progressing the way it should have.
Okay.
So I helped her have that conversation with him. I supported her and gave her, we talked about how to do it. And she did, the column on it, and then she finally heard what he's from. He's like, I like it the way it is.
Mm.
Why should it change? And then she had to gain clarity in herself about what she wanted, and she said, I really want a committed relationship, and I really want to be married. And the kid thing was, a maybe. She was in her early 40s already.
Okay. So she walked away?
When she closed that door, it's funny, when you close one door, like you said, another door opens up.
Yep.
And so there was a guy who was admiring her at work. Well, anyway, after she broke up, she got her hair done. Her friends took her, they went shopping. She really kind of did a little makeover. I mean, she was so cute and more empowered. And she's like, this guy, stepped up and said, I'd like to, and they went out. They were met at work, but they didn't work in the same area. And so they actually, and they had lunch or whatever, and then next thing you know, he's asking her out, and she basically says, you know what, I'm not dating for the purpose of dating. And she was a very spiritual person, very religious, and she says, I'm dating for the purpose of marriage. Now, he was just finishing up, I think he just got divorced or something like that, and he had 2 kids. And he says, no, I really want to get remarried, and and they just had an instant connection. And, it was amazing because when I went through her values list, he really just, fit it to the T. And so, even though they didn't get married right away because there were some other things that had to get through and accomplished, they did get married, and she's on my website, and it's really nice. So you can see
I absolutely do love that phrase, I'm dating with a purpose. I absolutely love that phrase because you can weed out so much without being, intrusive or without being rude or anything. You're just saying what you're doing. And if the person is interested, they will say, well, my purpose is just for companionship, or my purpose is just to find somebody to do things with. And it's absolutely a great thing to say that. Right?
One of my support, I have a whole network, but I use an organizer, and she was in her 60s, never married, and she said, I went out with this guy, I'm going out with this guy, but they were opera buddies. All they did was go to the opera together. Nothing else. And she was an introverted person who wanted her space and things the way she needed it to be, and she really was not. Not everyone has the capacity to be in relationship. So that's one of the things I kind of work with my clients to help them really see who has that ability and capacity and desire and who really can't. I dated a lot of guys who are nice guys, but you know what? In the end of the day, they really didn't have what it took to be in relationship for the long term.
Yeah, or even in being a good relationship, because again, you can get married and live separate lives because somebody is always in their cave or whatever. So yeah, your work is great because it sets the tone for a great relationship, because the woman or the man understands their values, they understand what they're looking for up front. And normally when you put energy onto it, then that's what you would attract. So
exactly.
It helps to get connected and also helps to sustain during the long term.
I save people so much time and energy and from heartache. Yes. My goal is to get them off that dating merry-go-round. Right. Like I was on. I mean, it was like fortunately there were enough guys. I have a Facebook group. Mm-hmm. And I put out some stuff, and I like to see what people say. And the big thing is like, what's your challenge to find quality people for dating? Well, there's all sorts of reasons, their challenges, and to hear what they're going through and their so it's Motivated to Marry Singles Facebook group. But I fund polls and stuff in my group as well, and it's great to see the community and people sharing and supporting or bitching and moaning.
Well, I have not dated a lot. I'm one of these people that just got married right away most times. But I will tell you that the single people that I know out there is the men are complaining they're not meeting any quality people. The women are complaining they're not meeting any quality people. And I find it so amazing that everybody's looking, but they're not hooking up properly. And that's probably why the online dating, as you're saying, it's taken off, because the science is connecting people on their values and what they want, and then all they have to do is put the piece together, as far as you called it a little bit of attraction, or we call it what is it, the word I'm looking for? You call it when you're attracted to somebody.
Right.
Whatever. What's the word I'm looking for? Chemistry. Right.
Right. So you have to like the
I'm looking
picture.
for chemistry.
I mean, the picture's the number one thing a guy looks at anyway.
Right.
But it really is. I really help people with their profiles and help them reorient it, and so that they're putting the right things out first, because we know, people read the first paragraph and then they, move on. So it's really
they look at the
capturing.
picture and they look at the first paragraph,
the first paragraph.
It goes together, right?
Yeah, so they really need to come out with their goals and which values or who they are. And so the person goes, wow, I want to read more. I want to read more. And like I said, I have a really high success rate with my clients and their online dating process. Now, not all my clients meet that way. Some meet face-to-face. I have a very comprehensive dating plan. I'm kind of a mix. I'm an East Coast coach. So I'm a mix between the practical, I have the MBA, the practical, and the little bit of the woo-woo stuff that we learn in coaching school. So I'm a mixture of both,
Well, it's the same way I do it too, So, yes, the coaching is just basically a blueprint, and then as coaches we go on and adopt it in our own from what we've learned, because you're right, you got to continue learning, and that's how we do it. So, all right,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, let's take our second break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to wrap up our show, and Amy's going to tell you how you can get in touch with her. So stay tuned. Be right back.
Having trouble getting a merchant account? Need an international payment gateway? Rejected by another merchant account provider? No problem. iPayTotal wants your business. Our high-risk merchant accounts allow you to accept all major credit and debit cards. Our Motto Payment Gateway allows accepting transactions on the phone. iPayTotal delivers payment solutions and products to help grow your business. Contact us now for your payment processing at info@ipaytotal.com or visit ipaytotal.com. www.ipaytotal.com. Your online payments provider.
If you would like to improve the quality of your life and don't have the budget to hire a coach, then I have an offer for you. Why not play the game of life and learn the skills to maneuver life situations? How many of you have played the game of Monopoly and learned the value of having property to collect rent? Well, Points of View is a leading company in the field of training for personal and business development. Points of View use games to explore significant life themes in a fun, unique, and powerful way. Games are designed for use by professionals, organizations, or individuals. The games are designed to help you look deep inside yourselves and the environment around you. It is a stimulating exploration that sharpens your senses and opens up new possibilities. So who can use Points of View games? Anyone wishing to reconnect and enhance communications with themselves and others. Anyone in search of fresh perspectives on dilemmas, relationships, and decision-making. those seeking interchange and the opportunity to build new bridges. Points of View is a collection of various games. The coaching game features 65 associate cards that explore significant everyday themes. Punction fosters associate connections between photos, themes, and questions. These flexible combinations make it a fascinating tool, highly effective in dynamic therapy, coaching, and counseling. Faces is a powerful way to get to know ourselves through the observation of others. For more information or to purchase one or more of these games, head over to https://POY4ALL.com/transform, which is TRANSFORM. These games would make perfect Christmas gifts for someone that you love so that they can have coaching in a fun and exciting way. So once again, that website is https://POY4ALL.com/transform. Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Coach Myrna Young, and today we're talking to Coach Amy Schoen. And, Coach Amy has been talking to us about how to identify and connect to the motivated to marry. We had some good conversation on, dating with a purpose and some of the characteristics of someone that's motivated to marry. Amy talked about having a family, financially stable, an introverted person that hates the singles events, and role models, whether it's their parents or their friends or, people that they hang around with, that they like the institution of marriage and want to be in the institution of marriage. So as we conclude our show, I want to ask Amy to talk to us about the coaching programs that she has for someone who's motivated to marry. I know from our conversations that you help your clients set up their dating profile and understand their values, but you want to go into any specific details of the name of your programs?
Sure. So if you go to motivatedtomarry.com, there's several ways to work with me. One is for those who really want to just kind of do it on themselves. I have a self-learning program I call a home study, the Motivated to Marry Dating Secrets program, which is 8 modules, and it takes you through the Motivated to Marry process from all the stuff in terms of getting to know yourself better, your goals and your values, and which values to focus on, as well as your must-haves or deal breakers and non-negotiables. So you really build a way to really sift through people quickly. But what I also do is I give you a lot of ideas about how to meet people. I give you my dating plan. And then I also help you to learn how to connect with that person and what to do once you do start dating, and how do you decide who you're dating. And then once you're starting to date someone, we have the when to be exclusive piece. And then I have a whole sheet about dating expectations. When we go into a relationship, we bring all our expectations into it. And that person's bringing all their expectations. And what I see is where the disconnect occurs is when people have different expectations. And I'm kind of like having my hands go one on top of the other. They're not meeting. They're going past each other. And so I have like 12 areas that I've identified of areas that we need to pay attention to in relationship and the conversations we need to have with our partners. And then I also give you some tools, some relationship tools. I have a written article on the test of time that long-term couples have lasted, and I have the relationship dating hurdles. What are the steps, that you need to get from dating to engagement? And so I really have a very complete package in terms of this. And my clients, I have had people who've done this on their own and done the self-learning program, and they have met their partners by really implementing. However, I also, when you do join this group, I do have twice a month coaching club calls where you get on to the call with me and the other people in the community, and you can ask me questions and clarify things. So I try to make myself available in a group setting for the people going through this program. Now, of course, I have one-on-one coaching. On the top end, I have my Diamond Coaching Client, which is a 6-month program where my clients who've done that package have had a great success. And I also review and edit their online profile when they do the Diamond Coaching package. It's a very involved process for me. It takes me a couple hours outside of the coaching relationship, and so I only do that for my Diamond Coaching clients. However, some of my other clients do get access to my online program on internet dating, the Successful Internet Dating Program. And so that I share my process of how I take the Motivated to Marry dating secrets and apply it to online dating. So, again, to help people. So I have VIP days. That means that somebody can schedule 3 hours with me or a 6-hour day with me. I have people who've come in from out of town to D.C., and we've worked together for a couple of hours. So I try to, develop a package that's going to work for that person based on their budget and their time frames and what their needs are. So it's very individualized in that respect.
Wow, well, that is a nice program, a nice menu, and I'm glad that you have something for everybody, right? So depending on the budget, right up to the person that wants the hand-holding and the full coaching and things like that. So that is awesome. And
yeah, and then I do my Meet Your Mate this year in the beginning of the year with a dozen people going through my program together, but they also get 6 hours of coaching with me in that package. So, again, the best thing to do is to go to Talk with Coach Amy or Motivated to Marry, and we'll, start, I have a get-to-know-you form just so I can know somebody and where they come from places. And then they get access to my online scheduler. And then I do complimentary Meet Your Mate sessions just so I get to know people and see how I can support them and help them. And, I'm very low-key. I'm no pressure because I believe it's a fit, and my clients are motivated, and they show up, and they're ready to do the work. And fortunately, I am, busy enough, so I really want the right fit and to work with people individually.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much for that intro to your program. I know that if I was single, then I will definitely jump on that. Because you're right, you just waste so much time. You can be wasting 5 years of a guy that's not motivated to marry, or even get married and get a divorce like 6 months later because you just picked someone because you wanted to get married and you didn't go through this process. So this is I see the value in this for sure. All right, so we're almost out of time, so I want to thank you for tuning in today to the Transform Your Mind with Coach Marina radio show and podcast. The purpose of this program is to plant new beliefs and to inspire you to live your best life now and to live consciously and by design. Our topic today was about, dating and marrying. So if you're consciously aware that that is what you want to do and you want to stop being in a merry-go-round and just, moving from one date to the next, then maybe it's a time to hire someone or even get some free information. I know that you didn't mention it, but I think, Amy, you also have a free ebook that, they can, download. So, get the help that you need. And think of this podcast of like an Inception, like the movie Inception, where, you didn't think of something before you heard it here, or you might even think of it as Oprah's ahas. That's what I want to do. I want to bring you, information or content every week that will allow you to think differently on some things, incubate some things in your mind, and then produce the wonderful transformation, which is why it's called the Transform Your Mind Show. Now, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review, as this allows more people to enjoy this program. And, there's no excuse because I have it everywhere. It's on iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify. It's everywhere. So you can listen at any one of those programs that you're most comfortable with. I also do a full transcript of this audio, so if you're just a reader, then you can just head over to my website, which is blog.myhelps.us, and not only there's going to be some links for, some of the programs and, my guests to get on their website, just in case you miss it, or and you can also, read of our conversation. I want to thank Amy today for transforming our minds on the Motivated to Marry and online dating. I find that this was great information for the single man or woman who wants to date with a purpose. So, Amy, any closing words?
Oh, no, thank you so much for having me and for all the work that you do and providing such great information to your listeners. And, I always say if you can see your own inner magnificence, then others can see it too.
That's a beautiful way to say it, to end the program. Well, listen, yes, on that note, I will say namaste. Until next time. Okay.